Pure innovation from OWC, Otherworld Computing. Welcome back to Techstination. I'm Fred Fishkin. With us from OWC is founder and CEO Larry O'Connor. Great to see you once again, Larry.
Hey, always glad to be here, Fred.
Well, a pleasure. You continue to deliver top-notch gear, and one of the latest is the Thunderbolt 5 dual 10 gigabit e-network dock. Give us the overview here.
Sure, it's a niche product. There just happen to be a large number of different niches that really can benefit from having that high performance, fully enabled network capability via Thunderbolt 5 for full speed, for whether it's combining channels, combining the 10Gs, whether it's using it to connect to an Avid network and a regular network, a SAN source and some other video input or an export network. I don't have to, how do I say, I don't live in these different workflows day to day, but there are so many different opportunities when you have, if not two 10Gs, potentially three, if you count what is already a standard built into some of these systems that can support NDI, Dante, obviously full 10G data streams, and not just one, but two. If you want different virtual LANs for different, again, for these different network needs, or you're combining or you're setting up for redundancy, it is a very powerful dock, for a wide variety of workflows. And as a third network, actually, I mean, well, it's a dual 10G. There's also a 2.5 gigabit port on the front, which also supports 1G. That happens to be something that we got a lot of feedback on, enough feedback on to support for, in addition to supporting yet another network, if you do have a benefit for a third network connection, it also can be a great tool if you have different devices that you need to run diagnostic on or do firmware updates, other work on that would connect via Ethernet, independent of having to either have another network port floating around to connect to or having to disconnect something to deal with an individual device. So this dock is really great for really all things that require network flexibility and capability. And it also gives you some USBs as well as three additional downstream Thunderbolt 5 ports. So you've got full Thunderbolt capability that can run through this dock in addition to the network ports. So it's a very versatile, powerful solution.
Yeah, and we should mention that you showcase this. If people can't guess, this is a higher end product at the International Broadcasting Conference just last month, right?
Yeah, TVB Europe actually gave it a best of show for the benefits it offers. This is the real deal, and we're seeing a lot of very positive uptake in it because it does solve, for some real needs out there. There's a lot of folks that need more than just a built-in 10G, more than just one additional 10G, and this is a dock that delivers the two, and again in a very stable, one port, that does it all, kind of connection, and very from a price point, very economically so as well for this capability. And there's no shared bandwidth. These aren't, partial implementations. That's two full 10 gigabit ports that you have the full bandwidth and capabilities of for all, and certified and tested for all these different protocols. So that Dante is going to work, that NDI is going to work, in addition to standard network traffic.
Oh, congratulations on the best of show there. Well, there's also the new, and storage is a big part of this equation too, I think, this scenario. There's also the new OWC Express 1M2 80G portable SSD. Tell us about that.
Certainly, we ship that with up to 8 terabytes inside. It sustains data rates of well over 6,000 megabytes a second. Depending upon the drive, sustained data rates, over 2,000 megs a second after a burst data rate that will be, again, very close to the peak of what Thunderbolt can do, which is in that 6,000 plus megabyte per second range. I mean, this is a drive that's built to, once again, just like the Envoy Ultra, to really show what Thunderbolt can do, but in a bus-powered device. And because we also let people do DIY, it was very carefully designed with thermal capabilities, thermal dissipation capabilities to require no fan. So it's fanless cooling and dissipation that operates with today's highest performance drives that anybody can buy. We guarantee things when we build them, but we've made it so that other people, of course, can build their own. DIY is something that's been core to this company since it was started 3.5 decades ago. So for those that want to DIY, this is an enclosure that's also built to properly dissipate, keep your drive running at full speed, whatever drive you may select, and not have issues with thermal throttling, or even the pitfalls that happen when there's a dependency on a fan that ultimately, over time, can get dirty. I mean, dust builds up in fans, it can add noise, but the most significant concern with anything that depends on a fan, fans do fail, and or debris does build up within a solution that has air moving through it, and that reduces cooling and ultimately leads to either, if not just performance loss, will lead to real problems or even failure of the device. We want all of these kinds of solutions that are going to be in a lot of different environments and a lot of different workflows to be completely reliable and also absolutely rugged. The other huge thing on any of our portable drives today, on the Envoy series or the Express series, is you can practically run those over with the tank, and your drive and your data remain safe. And certainly from a cooling point of view, again, the heat dissipation, the thermal design technology and engineering that goes into all of these solutions, that's really where we start. If we can't keep your drive cool, if we can't keep our drive cool, we're not going to be able to deliver performance reliability, when it counts. So another product that's doing really well out there. We were the first to ship this solution with really full PCI 3, 4, and 5 compatibility back in August. We don't just willy-nilly come to market with things. There's an immense amount of testing and certification and engineering before, after, and ongoing that ensures that our customers can count and trust on OWC storage.
And really wide compatibility here, depending on which platform you want to use it with, right?
Absolutely. Mac, PC, even some Linux and let me say, and Google platforms do support Thunderbolt 4, Thunderbolt 5, and USB, USB 4 and 4v2. Any of those platforms fully compatible with this device.
Tell us a bit about pricing and how this fits into your lineup of the portable drives.
Sure. It starts at $219 0 gig, and then it goes up from there. The 8 terabyte model is $1299. So it's, all things considered, it's a pretty reasonably priced solution, whether you want to add your own drive or buy it populated. And when you buy it populated, you have guaranteed performance and full warranty that we take care of. If you buy a 0 gig, of course, the solution, the actual enclosure, is warranted, and then you have the ability to put a drive of your choice inside. But this is, it kind of straddles that. We offer it as a solution because we actually had a customer, when we brought out our first 1M240, the Express one, which is still a best-selling product for a Thunderbolt 4 and USB 4 at up to about 4,000 megs a second. We had customers that wanted to experience, learn, what's in again, that's, we're not when we're as a speeds and feeds, I'm trying to, how do I come across it? Speeds and feeds are very important, but they need to be real world. And what a lot of people find is that some of the speeds and feeds that might be advertised out there aren't necessarily what happens when you actually put it into a real world scenario. They're kind of the highlight reel, not the reality of what that drive's going to do when you put it under a real load. So for folks that, again, that are comfortable doing DIY, know what they're buying, know what they're building with, we're happy to support the DIY side. For everybody else that just doesn't have time to really validate and certify and know that, hey, this is going to be a drive that's going to do what I need it to do, we offer the 1 to 8 terabyte. And then for the customer base that absolutely requires product that's been put through Intel and Apple certification, we go from the Express series to our Envoy Ultra and our Envoy Pro FX, which go through, honestly, pretty much the same engineering, the same testing. We can put them in a little bit more compact solution because we control all the aspects, and we know, obviously, we're certifying, with Apple and Intel, the drive that's inside those solutions. So it's a little more compact solution, just on the basis that, well, we don't have to support DIY. So then you get certification, full certification, and in some environments, even some companies, that do insurance for projects, require that there's that level of certification, outside third-party certification that, again, Apple and Intel provide in the Thunderbolt program. And that's where where the OWC Envoy Ultra, Pro FX, and other OWC certified solutions come into play. So we cover the gamut, and we're here to give people optionality, but the one thing for certain, we give them optionality with solutions that we stand behind and are going to work.
Yeah, giving them the choices is just terrific. So you also have some new USB-C HDMI adapters, and I guess these are for people who maybe don't have or they need portability maybe, or they don't have a docking solution on the desk.
Well, yes and no. The HDMI adapters that we offer, we have a two-port. Actually, we have two different two-port models, and now we have a four-port model. This is to be able to add additional displays to machines that don't necessarily have that native, I'd say, display capability built in. When you buy an M1 or an M2, M3, even an M4, you don't get the same number of displays natively supported by the GPU and the architecture as you do with, say, a Pro or a Max or an Ultra. And these display adapters are very efficient ways to add additional displays where they need it for palette, they need it for just additional desktop space. Maybe it's spreadsheets, maybe it's viewing your video, how do I say, or having multiple different streams that you can view in multiple places. This lets you put more displays, on a system, independent of its GPU limits. And the other aspect would be this with the display link technology, which is how this is done. This is not adding load to the GPU. So if you do have a GPU intensive task, depending upon your system, there's even a potential advantage to having these display link adapters that we offer, powering the additional display, so there's more GPU horsepower for a different application. But in the terms of the three different models we offer, there's now the 4-port, which also has power pass-through, so you can plug it whatever port you connect it to. If you're connecting to your computer, you're on the road and you need to have those displays out in the field, it has a power pass-through so that you're able to power your laptop in addition to connecting a device to that port. So you don't need to use two ports for power and for display. Our other two-port that we've been shipping since the first Apple M1 came out, also has the power passport, but just supports the two displays. And then we have a new model that's lower cost. Maybe you're running this through a dock, you need a couple extra displays, or even if you're on the road, you have enough ports depending upon the system you have and what your use case is, what ports you need when you're out in the field. This device does not have a power passport, but still provides the same dual display support. So once again, just we've seen a lot of demand in this area. I mean, there's a lot of different use cases and applications in terms of how people connect their extra displays, whether it's just when they're home, whether they're on the road. These also work, by the way, with Intel Macs and PCs, Apple Silicon, as well as Google Chromebooks. But depending on what your needs are, we've got, again, those two models with the power pass-through. So one port, you can power and run your power and still run your displays. And then we have the lower cost model for folks that maybe, again, you're running through a dock. This is just a couple extra displays. You're not going to do power pass-through. You can save that cost and still get that great display link technology and add your extra desktop space.
Terrific. I want to touch on, before I let you go, another amazing docking solution, which is the OWC Thunderbolt Go dock. It's an 11-port solution and really nicely designed. Tell us about it.
Certainly, yeah. It looks great on a desktop. So whether you're on the go or at home or at the office, I mean, it's a very robust dock. It gives you multiple USBs. It gives you 2.5 gigabit Ethernet. It gives you HDMI with HDCP. I mean, this is a fully functional dock for multiple points of connectivity. Plus, you also have downstream Thunderbolts. For going on the road, the power supply is a built-in GaN power supply. It's really the only dock of its kind in the world with this kind of port capability, the performance, and not and doesn't come with a power brick that also would have to be lugged around with it. So for workflows that are whether you're tight on space, whether you want simplicity on your desk, or and a source, of course, big time if you're on the road and don't want to worry about one more power brick to track. This is a dock that has a lot of versatility, a lot of capability, and the integrated power supply makes it really an elegant, a very nice solution for a lot of different people's needs.
And we've talked about it before, Larry, but maybe a quick mention once again about what sets OWC apart here, and the way you build things and the way you stand behind products really a stellar reputation.
You know, our own team members make up a lot of our, are also a pretty big, from a team member point of view, are also largely customers, which drive a lot of these solutions. And in general, I mean, we listen to our customers. You know, our customers drive, you know, what we're focused on in terms of the solutions that, you know, we believe and we see as a need in the marketplace. We don't necessarily deliver, we don't come to market with every time with somebody what somebody's asking for. We really come to market with, you know, the solutions that answer and solve the problem that's just being presented. And from a test and go and just an involvement point of view, I mean, you have to, I mean, there's a lot of different options out there, and there's a lot that come and go very quickly. You know, we stand behind our solutions. We've been here for over 35 years doing so. And the testing that goes into product, the design thought, you know, the testing, the qualification, you know, the true certifications. I mean, we don't, if we use, you know, various terms, we provide different, when we provide, I shouldn't say if, when we provide, you know, various specifications, performance specs, certifications, et cetera, it's because they're really done. You know, we're in these programs. We've tested these products, not just in a simulator. I mean, we've done real world testing. We say something's crush proof and can be run over by, now, we haven't tested with the tank, so I said virtually in the case of a tank, but in the case of actually, we say we've run something over the bus from SUV, we've really done it. And you know, I've personally done it. You know, I mean, these are, you know, we don't just, you know, if we say it, it's because we've done it. If, you know, there's, you know, any kind of, you know, corner case, any kind of, you know, different experience that is brought to our attention, you know, we're out there testing and always working to see these solutions are, you know, always going to be the best that they can. You can reach real people in other world computing, and there's a team here that cares. It's way beyond just me. I mean, it's the team at OWC that assures we have an amazing product lineup that can, it's trusted to a degree where, you know, once you start using a lot of these products, you know, they become really the boring part because you can focus on all your work while, you know, these different devices are, they can, for the most part, be behind the scenes doing exactly what they're designed to do without interrupting or taking, you know, how do I say, some brain power away to have to, you need, I talk to creators, you know, pretty much every day. And whether you're creating, whether you're, and that's whether you're at home, heck, and I consider financial people, you know, creators. Anybody who's, you know, got work to accomplish, you need to be able to be focused on the work. And we make sure at OWC, when we ship a solution, it's something that can be counted on, you know, throughout that workflow without being a distraction. And that's, you know, nobody has enough time in the day, and you know, we want to make sure that we've always, you know, had a focus on making sure that your time is maximized. And the last piece of that is building products that last, that aren't, you know, part of a replacement cycle or a disposability plan. You know, we want to see, you know, our growth comes from, you know, reaching new customers or supporting our customers in their own journey where more resources, more capabilities can be added to the workflows, to the different system setups that they're using. You know, our model is not about having a customer base that always has to replace things. You know, we're here to see things go that distance, and you know, ideally we earn, you know, we're earning your trust, and we're earning the opportunity to earn the trust of those that you refer to us. So we're here for you, and you know, very grateful to be doing what we do every day.
Just a great way to do business. The site again is OWC.com. Larry O'Connor, thank you once again for spending time with us.
Hey, always a pleasure, Fred. Have a great day.